Hello guys, it's me Zane, and guess what? Another voiceover. Why? Well, let me tell you the story after everything what I usually do in my other videos. So at first, why don't you subscribe to my channel, and also why don't you follow me on Instagram? Now let's watch the intro together and you'll see what is this video about. Okay, you see me repotting here a plant, a Dracaena plant. I think it's called Dracaena in English. Okay, what you really see here is me struggling to keep my dog away from me while I'm repotting, and it's not really working because she wants to play with me. So yeah. Now, the story is I decided to repot a few plants of my mom, and she was like, well, you could repot these because these are not in the greatest shape and maybe the soil is like not really good for them. And I was like, well, okay, I will do that, but if I'm doing that, and yeah, the cat enters and yeah, the cat enters the pictures and she's playing with the, no, not she, he plays with the plant while the dog tries to play with me. So yeah, this is what you're getting in this video. So my mom was like, you could repot these, and I was like, okay, I could film these because I could make a really okay, you see me struggling a lot. I tried to convince my dog that it's going to be a great idea if she's going to be on a different place, but it was hard and she really wanted to play with me. So yeah, I was trying to repot the plant. So I decided to repot the plant and I decided to film it, and I was like, oh, this could be a really good tutorial. Well, guess what's happening in this video? Not a tutorial, but rather, well, yeah, chasing my dog. I completely failed making a tutorial type repot video. I really wanted to make something great about repotting a plant, but then this happened and I was like, well, for a comedic relief, I could do this also. So yeah, in this video you'll be getting a voiceover, and also you'll be getting some comedic relief dog and cat things in the same video, and as well as some tutorial-y sentences from me and some tips for repotting. So this is a Dracaena plant, and as you can see that the soil wasn't the greatest. It's basically a clay soil, a really clay soil. So I was trying to get rid of that clay. So also I was trying to get rid of my dog here, but the best way for that was to throw the ball because she loves this ball. No matter what, she will risk her life for this ball. Yeah, then in this moment I realized maybe I didn't film this whole process, but I did, so it was a relief. Throwing the ball again and continuing to repot the plant. Now, the root system wasn't the greatest, it wasn't a huge root system, and the soil was really just a clay soil, so that was not good. And I was trying to get rid of a lot of that soil because it wasn't really great. I decided to repot it into a fresh soil, which I will making for myself. Also, I decided to repot it into a bigger pot because Dracaenas will have a bigger root system. Also, this plant should have a bigger root system already. So I decided the bigger pot will be better. Now there is some soil remnants in this pot, but that was no problem for me because, you know, soil will be going into this pot, so why would I bother with that? Now I have this milk containery vintage thingy. I keep these broken clay pot pieces in there and I try to cover the holes with these broken clay pot pieces because that's a fantastic way to like not throw shit out but reuse it. My dog is just trying to convince me that throwing the ball is the most fun thing in life ever. But it was relaxation time now, so yeah, we can repot. Yeah, Zane, we're still recording. Also, my hair color is different because I wanted to bleach my roots. If you remember, I had a yellow color in my hair and I was like, oh, this yellow color is already like fading out and my roots are grown out, really grown out, so I want to bleach it again. But before that I was invited for a birthday. Now this video is going to be a rambling around things. So right now I'm putting into the soil mix. I never prepare my soil mixes, I just do them as I go. So into the soil mix goes regular all-purpose gardening soil, succulent mix, perlite, little tiny pieces of bark chips, not those bigger ones, these are really tiny pieces. Okay, not that tiny, but you can see it's a tinier bark chip pieces bag, and also a little bit of a cocoa wire thingy, because I think this is going to be just okay for this plant. I always do that, I never pre-mix the soil which I'm using. Okay? Trying to convince the cat that it's going to be great if she won't bother my plants. Okay, so I always do these soil mixes as I go, because every plant is different and you cannot do like one soil mixture for every plant, and I kind of treat every plant differently regarding the soil mixes which I use, so I just usually mix them as I go. I researched the plant before repotting, and Dracaenas, they are a little bit of a succulentier plants than these other houseplants. They like things to be a little bit more dry, so I decided to put a little bit more succulent mix, a little bit more perlite, and also a little bit more bark chip species, because I think that would make the soil a little bit more airier than it should be. And I'm just starting to realize that this whole video, the focus was not on the plant and on me repotting, but this fig leaf tree in the corner. That's just perfectly focused, while me, not really. Then I realized that it's going to be a bad idea if I premix the soil in the pot, because I cannot put the plant into the pot after I premix the soil. So I decided to bring another pot into the frame, and premix the soil there. I tried to figure out if there are some dead roots, but there weren't, so that's good. But positioning the plant was a little bit of a nightmare, because it was going to the side always, and my dog was sniffing me always. Well, right now there was nothing else interesting happening. I just positioned the plant and tried to pour back the medium into the pot. You need to push a little bit on that soil, not too much, because you don't want to compact the soil extremely, but for a little firmness and for a little, how do I say that, for the plant to be a little bit more secured inside the pot, you need to push a little bit on the soil. Also, I wanted this soil to go in between the roots, so that was needed there. And I decided to put a little bit of a bark chip top layer there, just for decoration. I was ready to finish that repotting there, because I was like, well, get me out of here. I need to purchase a stake. I didn't do that, but this plant is not the healthiest, so I need to stake it, because these stems are a little bit just too thin to support anything, so they are leaning, and also the light was coming from the side, so there is another reason for leaning for this plant. Now let's check out these other plants. Now this is a spider plant, and if you say that this spider plant is in a really bad shape, yeah, you're right, it's in a really bad shape. But we will do something about that in this tutorial. Not tutorial, in this comedic relief video. So I thought, okay, it's going to be enough if I just refill the pot and call it a day, but no, this plant was just too much leaning to the sides and whatever, so I decided to reposition them and stuff like that. So that's what's happening there. I'm okay with my pets touching the leaves sometimes. I mean, they are not really eating my plants. The only times when they are playing with the plants are when I'm repotting on the ground and they're exposed to these really fun leaves which are just moving around a playing thing for them. So they don't really like munch on the leaves of my plants, and I'm grateful for that because I would be like super mad if they did that, but they don't do that, so that's great. This time wasn't really great. My cat was just really determined to play with my spider plant. So I decided to leave this spider plant in the same soil because it was repotted like recently and the soil was not in the bad shape. It was like still good and good drainage and whatever. So I just repositioned my plant and I refilled the pot and called it a day because I was ready to finish this filming even though I just started to repot. So I just refilled this plant and I tried to position it, and that's all. Now another plant which I wanted to repot is this pothos plant, and I wanted to repot it with my dog. No, so I wanted to repot it and I found a really nice decorative container for it, but the pot which I wanted to repot this into was too big, so I decided to trim the edges. So in height it would be perfect, in width it was perfect all along, so yeah, that's why I'm cutting the pot there. Now this pothos was in a really extremely bad shape. It was like literally coming out from the soil. And this pothos is really like curious because all the pothos I've ever seen, maybe I'm just don't remember right now, but I think the only pothos which I've seen in my life were variegated pothos plants. Now this is like still variegated, but the variegation was like so minimal, like literally so minimal, I could not see. Okay, I could see that, but as you can see that there is not a lot of variegation going on these leaves. So there were these 3 pothos plants inside this pot and I decided to repot them into this new pot and like, you know, don't even bother with the old soil and the old pot because I wanted to repot them into a bigger pot because, oh, there are 4 plants, not even 3. I thought there are 3 plants. So I decided to repot them into this new pot, fresh soil and whatever. And again, mixing the soil as I go. I was just really... Okay, which I'm using here is not a succulent soil mix from like a shop. This succulent soil was like made by me with some perlite and sand and like regular gardening soil because I was not able to like purchase succulent soil, like I don't know, for a time because I wasn't really near to any garden center, and I decided to make my own, but you know, that's still usable and still fun, so I just did that. These pothos plants still had some roots and stuff, so I just put them into the pot, put them back into the pot, fill them up with soil and call it a day. Like, I did not bother with them too much because I know that these can literally grow in anything. That's how they are still alive, so you know, there is that. And right now you can see how tiny bits of variegation are present on these leaves. They're like just little tiny bits of these yellow parts. I think I've never seen this kind of pothos in my life. And the last plant which I wanted to repot was my sister's plant. It was this Jade plant succulent. Now the soil of it was rock hard and it wasn't in a really good shape. This plant would need like more light, but my sister is like, I don't care, it will be on my windowsill, okay? And with this plant I decided to use some gardening soil as well because, you know, it's a clay pot which actually sucks up a little bit of the moisture which is inside the pot, and also it's tiny pot, so the moisture which is put into the pot would evaporate just really quickly because of the size and because of the material of the pot. This is the last plant which I repotted. I wanted to create a tutorial how to repot houseplants video, but recently another plant tuber uploaded a video like that, so I was like, well. So I decided to still upload this video and make it as a comedic relief. This is how in reality you repot houseplants. So yeah, this is my video for today and I hope you liked it. If you liked it, click on the like button. Subscribe to this channel, follow me on Instagram.